Good morning. So, this morning, what I want to talk about is the idea that a negative energy, a negative entity, a negative spiritual, entity, any of those kinds of ideas. Sorry, these are things pop. So if you've had the experience where you believe like there's a low vibe energy or a negative energy that's either attaching to you, pestering you, won't leave you alone, hounding you, like any of those kinds of things, that's what I want to talk about today. So what we're going to do is kind of work backwards. I'm going to tell you sort of like, when you have read those books and they give you like the final scene first, and then they tell you how they got there. That's how we're going to do this. So it's actually impossible from a mechanistic standpoint for that to happen. So fundamentally, negative energies cannot attach to you. They cannot hound you. They cannot be constant pestering you. Unless you are harmonic with that idea or experience or vibration. So that's kind of like the last scene in the book, right? The answer is that mechanistically isn't possible because this is not a reality of insertion. There's no law of insertion. There's only the concept of law of perception, law of attraction, law of experiential harmonics is what we're saying. So how do we get there? Like, how do we get to that conclusion? So we have to kind of work backwards. And the first thing is to understand conceptually that this is a reality based on vibration. So we cannot experience anything at all unless we are harmonic with that idea, with that type of experience. There's no law of insertion in this reality. Nothing is actually being inserted into our reality. And I know that's like a very big concept and it's hard to understand when stuff is happening. You're like, well, wait, no, there is an entity pestering me. I am channeling something that I don't want. You might have the experience of that. That is real. But the mechanistics, the mechanical aspect of that is we cannot experience something that we are not vibrationally harmonic with. So that's kind of the first concept. And that is a very big concept that takes a little bit of working through and figuring out how that works. And that you have to come to understand that you are a non-physical energy. That's your real self, a non-physical entity, a non-physical energy, experiencing itself through the physical lens. Through the physical lens, we can have all sorts of experiences that we consider to be negative or low vibe or contracted or fear-based, or we can have all of those. But the real us is a loving, unconditionally loving, divine energy. That's the real us. So we've got this reality that we're in, and we're projecting our consciousness here into this physical realm. The real us is non-physical. And in this physical lens, we can have differentiation, right? We can have everything from purely negative to purely positive and everything in between. If you subscribe to the idea that you create your reality, you don't control other people, you don't control every experience you encounter, but you control your reality in the physical realm. Like, you're not going to control what your neighbors do, but you can alter your perception about the relationship between the neighbor and all of that. Okay, so you're projecting yourself into this reality. You have this vibrational variance called the negative physical lens, or the physical lens, which has all of these variances in it, which is everything from positive to negative. And within that construct of the physical lens, you can create infinite experiences, right? You can create the experience if you have a belief system that's active that says negative energies can attach to me. If you have a belief system that says negative energies can impose their will upon me, then you can have that experience, right? It's going to feel like you're out of control. It's going to feel like that's what's happening. But ultimately, fundamentally, you're in full control and you're giving yourself the experience of something attached, a curse being put on me. I've heard that people say that before, like, ooh, they put a spell on me, they put a curse on me. No, they didn't. But you can create the experience. You're so in control. You can create the experience of being out of control. That's how in control and unconditionally loved you are. One of the other components of this is recognizing that there is a positive within every negative. So let's say you're having the experience of a negative entity that you believe you're channeling, or a negative entity that you believe you're experiencing, whether that's a spiritual energy or whatever energy you're tapping into in the infinite realm of everything that all it is. What you kind of want to do is, first of all, recognize and acknowledge, well, wait a second. I create my reality. So I'm creating the experience of having a low vibe energy attached to a high vibe energy, which vibrationally speaking is impossible. Because if you're not harmonic with an experience, you can't have it in your reality. It's not possible to have a strictly high vibe attached to a strictly low vibe. They wouldn't meet, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they never would find each other. So if you're having the experience of being a high vibe channel person, medium, energy, you view yourself as a high vibe energy entity, and you're experiencing something that's low vibe, well, there's something in that experience for you to extract about yourself. Maybe it's about your belief system. Maybe you're ready to expunge yourself of the belief that other entities can attach themselves or can use me as a channel for negative ideas when I don't want that, right? Maybe that's what you're exploring. Maybe you're ready to experience spiritual sovereignty on a new level. And so you engage in ideas that feel like you're out of control, but you're ready to hear something like I'm telling you now, which is you're never out of control. You're so in control, you can create the experience of being out of control, but that's how unconditionally loved and in control you actually are. Okay? So if that's your experience, begin to examine, well, why would I be having this experience of translating an angry spirit, or translating an energy that I perceive as low vibe or negative as a channel? Why would I create this experience for myself? What positive can be extracted from the initial negative that I'm calling a negative? I'm saying that's a negative. You have to look at that and say, well, what is it? What would I need to believe is true about myself to be able to have this experience and feel this way? Like, what am I going to get out of this? And sometimes it's as simple as maybe there's another aspect of your life where you feel out of control, but you haven't maybe fully recognized that yet. Or maybe in a relationship where you have a relationship with, either a mother or a spouse or a friend, where you're sort of feeling out of control. Like, you feel like, I don't have the voice, I can't say what I want. And it doesn't feel like you're ready to acknowledge it within the context of that relationship. Well, you might try to figure it out through a different lens. And maybe that lens is either channeling or mediumship or experience with, whoa, there's a negative energy that's controlling me. Well, you get the opportunity to recognize, well, that it's not actually controlling me. I'm in full control. And I get to say whether this is an experience I want to continue with, or whether this is something that I don't prefer to have anymore. Because fundamentally, every single experience we have, whether we deem it as positive or negative, is for our benefit and can be looked at through the positive lens. Every single one, even the deepest, darkest moments where you think, oh, there's no good in that. Actually, there is. And when you recognize that there's something in it to be extracted that's positive, then you begin to change your perspective, right? Then you change your mind. Then you change how that experience is. But if you feel locked in, if you feel like, oh, there's nothing I can do about this, or I'm not in control, it's using me as a vehicle, or and I can only, I'm channeling spirits that are angry and divisive and out to get me. Well, if you're having that experience, you need to examine in what way are you feeling out of control, like fundamentally out of control. There's something in your life. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that experience, right? There's something in it. You have to begin to examine it. You have to begin to look at it from a different perspective. You have to begin to know that everything contains positive, negative, and neutral. Every single experience, whether it's physical or spiritual, every single one. And when it comes down to what's actually happening, you create this experience. How can I say that with such confidence? Because I know that we are non physical consciousness having the experience through the physical lens. We're just as much a spirit as the spirits that we're channeling. We're just as much a spirit. We're equally as spirit. But now what we have is the physical lens in addition to the spiritual lens, right? You can't forget that you are spirit too. This isn't an unequal playing field. You're not just channeling and having mediumship experiences through the physical lens. The only reason you can have it through the physical lens is because you're also a spirit. So invoke that unconditional loving spirit side, that stream of well-being, and begin to integrate it into your experience. And when something negative happens, you say, what is it that this is trying to show me about my active belief, right? An active belief in self, an active belief in relationships, an active belief in health, an active belief in money, an active belief in success. Like, where is it that I'm having this vibrational experience that's being expressed in these other categories, right? Know more about yourself. If you've never read the work of Jane Roberts, who channeled Seth, that's where I started. I absolutely loved those books. They talk about the nature of reality, and Seth is the one who coined the phrase, you create your own reality. You do. You do, because when you tap out of this physical experience, what you'll do is you'll reintegrate back into your non-physical perspective. That's when I was 20 and my mom was 53. She died of pancreatic cancer. And in that moment, I recognized when she tapped out and when she died, there was nothing but positive. Like, I knew it as a truth. I could see that mom left all of her judgments, all of her negative lens, all of her negative focus, all of her jealousy and anger and rage and anything negative, despondency, disparity, dislike. It doesn't go with us. So it doesn't exist in the same way that we think about it through the physical lens. So all of these negative channeling experiences you're having, you need to examine and say, well, why would I be creating this experience for myself? What is it that I can get out of it? How is it actually benefiting and helping me? If I don't look at it through a sense of victimization, when I look at it through a sense of creation, how is it helping? How can it help me see myself? Oh, wait, maybe you go, oh, wait. So I'm so empowered, I can create a sense of disempowerment. Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow, I'm so empowered. I'm so in control. I can create a sense of being out of control. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool, right? It's your experience. You are in full control. You can either examine the experience. Maybe it's learning how to say no through this realm of, no, there's no consequence, right? In the same way that there's a consequence in the physical reality. If you say no to somebody in the physical realm, there's a consequence, right? There's a cause and a reaction. But if you're saying no in the physical realm, it's through your psyche and your imagination. And so energetically, besides feeling a sense of out of control or feeling a sense of control, there isn't really a whole lot of physical carryover, right? It's an imaginative realm where you get to work stuff out and have experiences that don't have the same consequences as they do in physical reality. So there's that. So how do you get from having that as an experience of feeling out of control to feeling in control? You move through your day. You have your experiences. You examine your energetic state of being. You work with the idea of, wait, I'm actually in control. You follow your highest level of excitement. If you follow your excitement, which is the language of your higher self, passion and excitement, it will take you to all the experiences that you need to come to the realization that you are in full control, right? That's how it works. Whatever experience you need, maybe it's throwing rocks in a lake, where all of a sudden you're like, whoa, wait a second, I realize I'm in control because of the ripples. I don't know. right? You could be watching Netflix and have full realizations. You could be gardening. You could be riding a bike. You could be at work. You could be cooking. You could be putting on your socks. Like there is no fundamental have to do this to get this realization experience. It doesn't work like that. If you follow your excitement, you will be guided to the experiences that will give you the realizations that you want, that you're looking for, that you seek. Post your questions below if you've got any questions. Um, so also, if you feel yourself getting a little defensive, like, wait a second, I'm not in control, right? Then notice how that what I'm saying is challenging that active belief. And if there's an active belief, there can be a sense of defending that belief because the beliefs that are active don't want to go anywhere. And if they're negative, oftentimes there's a defensiveness to try to protect the belief because it doesn't want to go anywhere. Um, and there's probably, if you go into the spiritual world, there you can find any number of people who are going to tell you that you are out of control, that there is a negative entity haunting you or bugging you or pestering you. They're going to tell you what you have to do to be free of that, right? Because ultimately, if someone believes that they're the authority, that they have the solution, well, they're going to tell you. But I'm telling you, there is no perfect solution and you are in control, which gives you ultimate sovereignty, right? You don't need to go to anyone, me or anyone else. And there's nothing you need to do specifically. You don't need to burn any herbs or sage or, you don't need to tap on your head 6 times. You don't need to say any specific spells or magic cure. Nothing. There is no way out of it other than to follow your excitement, to have the experience, to examine it, and then get to the other side and say, oh, wait, I'm actually in control. So, but whatever permission slip you're guided to, go. Like if you're guided to go to some particular person, then go to that person because your excitement tells you that they will be the permission slip that you need. If you're excited to do if you're excited to do tarot cards to figure out what the answer is, do tarot cards to figure out what the answer is, right? Like follow your excitement. And in that excitement, it is the permission slip that gives you more awareness and more information and liberates you from the things that are bugging you. Hope that makes sense. Okay, that's a lot. Leave your comments. If you've got questions, please leave them in this group. This is a safe space to examine these things, to look at them from a different lens, from a different perspective, and to add value to your journey. So there you go. See you next time.